Hello and welcome to today's webinar called Increasing Your Salespeople's Productivity. In this webinar, I'm going to reveal the shocking truth about dollar productive behavior. Firstly, let me introduce myself to you. My name's Paul Puckridge, the Training Director here at the Success Institute. Thank you for joining me on this short webinar. As you can see on the screen, my email address and phone number are there in front of you. And if you'd like to press pause and write it down, and you'd like to contact me, I'd be delighted to speak with you after this session is over. So who's today's training for? Well, it's for business owners, CEOs, managing directors or general managers, also for national, regional, state sales managers. If you have a sales team that you need to manage, then this is a very important webinar to be part of. I'm pretty sure every one of your salespeople work at least a 40-hour week, Monday to Friday. That's pretty typical. But out of those 40 hours a week, how productive are they within those 40 hours? So on this webinar, I'd like to share with you the number one territory management secret that can unleash the brakes of anyone in your team who we might regard as a territory manager, an account manager, a BDM, a key account manager, or maybe a sales rep. What's the secret? It's called dollar PD, or as we'll learn in a moment, dollar productive behavior. For the past couple of decades, I've been teaching dollar productive behavior to sales teams all over Australasia. And once we understand the importance and significance of being dollar productive, it's going to make a massive amount of difference to what your people think about and work on each of those working days, Monday to Friday. So what is dollar productive behavior, I hear you ask? Well, dollar productive behavior is any sales activity that is directly linked to the possibility of making a sale. Let me just repeat that. Dollar productive behavior is any sales activity that is directly linked to the possibility of making a sale. Even though your people are working 40 hours a week, I can guarantee they're not being dollar productive for those 40 hours. And one reason why some sales teams and some sales people tend to achieve more than others could be put down to where they are being dollar productive. So how many hours each day are your salespeople being dollar productive? If they're working in their territories for, let's say, 8 hours, how many of those hours are dollar productive versus non-dollar productive? Well, let me give you some ideas as to what dollar productive behavior is and isn't. So let me ask you, if a salesperson is in the sales office writing reports or doing admin, is that person being dollar productive? Is he or she generating income? Well, the answer is no, they're not. So doing sales admin might be something that you have to do at some point, but it certainly isn't dollar productive. What about attending a sales meeting? I'm sure if you're watching this, you have sales meetings regularly, maybe once or twice a week. Are they dollar productive? The answer, unfortunately, is no, they're not dollar productive. They're not generating the possibility of income. All right, what if one of your territory managers goes out to see a prospect and has a look at his equipment and assesses its condition and what he or she might need in order to be more productive within their business? Is that dollar productive behavior? Well, yes, it is. Anytime your salespeople are out there talking to their customers and prospects and touring their business and asking the right questions and building relationships, of course, that is dollar productive. What about having a customer meeting where you're across the desk from a prospect or customer talking about their needs? Is that dollar productive? Yes, it is. What about waiting to see your customer in a reception area? As sales professionals, we all have to see customers or prospects, and we're told to wait, and our customer or prospect will be out to see us in a few minutes. Is that dollar productive? No, it's not. Now, you might have to wait in a reception area, but that waiting time is not dollar productive. What about driving to a customer or prospect meeting? In fact, for many of your people, they're driving around town at least 4 to 5 days a week. Is that dollar productive? Unfortunately, it's not. They might have to drive, but driving alone isn't dollar productive. But what if they're making a phone call while they're driving? Well, if it's safe to do so, then it is partially dollar productive. In fact, we might call that very useful multitasking. What about coming into the office on, say, a Friday morning and cold calling to set up meetings to meet new prospects the following week or week after? Is that dollar productive? You got it. It certainly is. And I would encourage anyone in a sales role to be constantly filling their sales funnel with cold and warm calling. What about going onto LinkedIn and finding prospects and customers and starting a relationship using social media? Is that dollar productive? Well, you know what? It is, especially if you're doing administration on a Friday afternoon. That could be a really useful way of spending 30 minutes to an hour a week starting to connect with people via social media, especially if your customers and prospects are also using social media. So let me ask you again, how many hours each day are your salespeople being dollar productive? You see, forget about driving, forget about waiting, forget about doing administration. The truth is that at the very most, salespeople are being dollar productive. In other words, face to face, voice to voice, in front of customers and prospects for maybe 2, 3, perhaps 4 hours a day. And I would say that that's probably on the high side. When I go into sales teams and do an audit on where their time is going, it's fair to say that the majority of sales professionals are not being dollar productive enough. And when we teach them how to do that, it can literally release their brakes and increase their effectiveness. So let me ask you, as we're coming towards the end of today's session, what would happen to your sales results, whether that's state-based, national or regional, if every one of your sales team were thinking about how to be more dollar productive? And I wonder how many of your people even use that vernacular in their daily sales vocabulary. And if you've never used it before, I invite you to have conversations with your people about dollar productive behavior. In fact, ask them, how dollar productive are you each week? And don't be surprised if they haven't been to this training before. They scratch their heads and they say to you, what are you talking about? What's dollar productive? Well, now you know. So what would happen to your sales results if every one of your team were thinking about and acting in a more dollar productive way? I think you'd agree it would make an enormous difference. So, if you would like to know more about how we can help your team be more dollar productive, then I invite you to learn more about our one-day time and territory management training program. In this program, we teach the techniques, the strategies, and the insights, as well as the skills to become more dollar productive, whether it's a local salesperson, a business development manager, a key account manager, a territory rep. It is possible for them to be more dollar productive by learning how to manage and use their time with both customers and prospects more efficiently and effectively. Hey, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's session, and I hope that you will start to use that terminology in your own sales vocabulary, dollar productive behavior. If I can assist you either now or into the future, you know where I am. Reach out to me with a phone call. Thanks for watching. That's the end of today's webinar, and I look forward to providing you a new webinar very soon. Until then, please enjoy every sales success.